Well, who knew that one of Amy's gifts was that of a detective? She's like a modern-day Columbo or Jessica Fletcher. I'll tell you why in a minute, guys. Here we are, Married at First Sight UK Season 9, Episode 29. We're nearing the end now. And we're focusing on the homestays Part 2. So we have Luke taking Amy to Maidstone in Kent, where he lives. Oh, well done you, Luke. Maidstone, very nice. He lives in quite a nice little cottage. Everything's fine until Amy sees a picture, a photo of him on the fridge, which looks like it's been cut in half. And Luke basically lies and tells her, no, it was already like that. That's how the guy in the photography shop did it. She notices there's a slight edge on the corner. This is her, guys. This is her. Murder Amy, she wrote, looking at it, saying, oh, look, that photo's a bit, And then Luke has to just fess up and say, you know what, I lied. It was a photo of me at a dinner special event late last year with another woman, and I didn't want you to see me with another woman, so I chopped it off. And Amy, of course, gets really upset.
Why is she so important to be on your fridge? So I cut it, because it's not important. And then I lied to you about cutting it, because I didn't want you to ask me, well, why did you cut it? Or who was it that you had to cut? Oh.
This is the first day to mine and Luke's homestays, and it's just definitely not what I was hoping for. This is not what I want from my husband. It just makes me think to myself, like, what is real and what is not? Like, how am I supposed to connect with somebody when they're barefaced lying to me? How do you expect me to find out who you are and understand you as a person if you're not truthful with me? What's the point in lying about it and hiding things from me throughout the experiment, and then when we get out into the real world, me finding out who you actually are? Why not be honest?
I do understand this. I feel like Amy's a grown woman, Luke. She can take photos of you with other women. She has to understand that prior to marrying her, you had a life, you met other girls, and you having a picture with one of them is perfectly fine. All of us, before we got married or committed to someone, had other people in our lives that didn't work out for whatever reason. And having pictures of them, there's nothing wrong with that. As long as you show it all to your wife, husband, get it all out there before you get married. They can look at it and decide if they're happy with it or not, and what has to go and what has to stay. I think that's perfectly fine. So that was a real misstep from Luke there. Now, of course, she doesn't trust him. Then we have Sasha and Ross, and Sasha taking Ross to her house, which is full of cats. One particularly large cat, who I think might need a bit of slim fast. And immediately, within like 5 minutes of them arriving, Sasha's like, so do you want to live here? And Ross is rightly saying, no, take it slow. And I completely agree, because I feel like, he took it quite slow with you when you were in his neck of the woods. Don't put the pressure on him now, because he's got a kid, And it's obvious Sasha loves her cats, probably almost as much as Ross loves Blue.
It's about anything didn't make sense to her, but I have to take on it as well, because obviously I've got family stuff back at home and that stuff. Not just her.
Then back to Amy and Luke, and another problem. So he takes her out to this lovely stately manor for a visit, and he says, oh, you can come and live in Kent. There's lots of places to exercise. You can walk your dog here, and we need to exercise, not just the dogs. We all need to exercise. And of course, he's talking about sex when he says that, and she's aware of this. And he's already on bad terms with her because of lying about the photo, and of course she gets upset about him referencing sex and being inappropriate.
I'm constantly worried about what's going to come out of his mouth next. When we were outside, I didn't really appreciate the inappropriate comment. Obviously, Paul advised you to work on that, because it makes you feel uncomfortable.
Yes.
And you was implying that we need lots of exercise together in the bedroom.
I'm not struggling to see Amy's issue. I know her issue is inappropriate comments. My issue is what is now inappropriate or not.
I just feel very awkward right now.
I understand this as well, because I think guys often, when they make a mistake, they want to say sorry, pretend it never happened, and get on with the reward, which is the sex. And of course, that doesn't always work, and a lot of times it never works, and that's not what women are like. They don't like to go, in my experience anyway, from that one end of things to, I'm sorry for lying to you, to suddenly sex. It just doesn't work that way, because I think trust has to be regained. So let's see if Luke can do that, shall we?
No, that's changed. Just because I don't want to be away from you lot in a city where I've got no one, and Ross loses his temper.
Can you understand Sasha's situation as well, what it's saying to you as well?
Of course, yeah, but there's dates that if I move up here, they'll think on it.
It's hard, like obviously when I seen him with Blue and stuff and I started crying, I felt like quite guilty. I didn't want to affect how conveniently he could see his daughter.
That's a bit of an issue at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know where you're coming from, because I want my daughter here.
And you want to be with your daughter.
It's just a bastard of a situation, really.
It's just a hard
for
situation.
You both. It is.
This is not a good episode for Luke, guys. This is the Luke villain edit, it would seem. Although I have to say Amy's not coming out of it great either. But first, you're just going back to Sasha. Sasha's parents come round and talk with Ross, and they seem very understanding about the dilemma these guys are facing about where they should live. Although I have to say, Sasha does mention when Ross loses his temper, I want to be closer to home. And I thought, is Ross losing his temper a lot? I haven't really seen much of that, just a little bit, but the way she said it, I thought, would make any parent be scared that their daughter's maybe married someone who's got a really, petulant temper. So anyway, never mind. I thought that was a bit strange. Then Ross gets up to leave them to talk, and the moment Ross leaves the room, they basically tell Sasha, you have to stay here. You can't go with him. You have to stay here. Stay here.
I definitely want you to stay here.
I've got a little girl, I've got to think about just like anybody else.
Who's?
You know what I mean?
And everyone else drives away.
That's my precious thing in life.
Yeah. This is the first time I get to tell my parents that I'm not 100% on Manchester. Their advice means the world to me. And I can see it's such an important issue to my mum. And for her, moving is not an option.
I'm like, that's not how marriage works, though. You can't do that to your kid. Because otherwise what they're doing is they're putting pressure on Sasha to basically not live somewhere else with her husband that isn't where they live and the city they dwell in. So I thought that was a bit mean of them. But I understand where they're coming from. But nonetheless, his daughter, Blue, is what, 3, 4? Sasha's not 3 or 4. Anyway, moving on to Luke. So Luke now goes over to Amy's house. It's actually Amy's mother's house, which I didn't clock until Amy said it. First thing Amy does is introduce her to her dog, John. And Luke goes crazy with John, bonds with John, but he also licks him a lot. And it is gross. I agree with Amy on that. The licking sound, the constant, it's just gross.
Okay, I think he likes you.
I like you too. I don't know who's worse, me or John.
Definitely you. You can stop now, Luke. Please stop licking my dog. Stop tonguing him. It's that noise he makes. He goes like, oh, ew.
You don't have to lick my dog, don't worry.
I
won't be offended if you don't kiss him.
I want to lick him. He's gonna lick you.
Oh, God.
I love dogs, but I don't lick my dog. And I think he'd be pretty offended if I did. But nevertheless, he bonds with the dog. Then he puts his foot in his mouth again when Amy shows him photos on the stairs of herself. And he finds one of Amy and says, oh, you look different there. Because it's one of Amy before she had her teeth done and a bit of Botox. And she seems offended that he's saying that. And she seems offended that he's saying, oh, in this photo here you look bloated, but look at you now, you look great. And I feel like Luke is just suffering from foot in the mouth disease, and he doesn't seem to be able to say things right. And I think Amy should give him just a bit of a wider berth with that, because he is trying to say nice things, and he does justify it like any man would. He said, I made sure that I said Amy looks better now than she does in those photos. And I thought, yeah, any man would think like that. You say to your wife, oh, you look so much more beautiful now than you ever did in those photos of you 10 years ago. You even look younger now. All that kind of stuff. Guys think we're supposed to do that because we know that no one wants to be told, oh, that photo of you 20 years ago, gosh, you were so good looking and thin then, but look at you now. No one wants that.
Fuming right now, like Luke's saying I basically look hideous in this photo.
You look skinnier now than in here. In here you look a bit like bloated.
literally nothing's changed. I've just had my teeth done. Bit of filler in my lip. That's it. Glow up. Bloated.
Amy hasn't really taken this well at all, and she's almost irritated by the comment. So I think she might have preferred me to say that she looked better before, but I thought that that wouldn't make sense because I'd be lying, and we don't want that.
And then Luke is in bed with her and he says, oh, you know, relationships always have these little moments where things don't go well, just like this room. Look at this beautiful room, and there's mould in the corner, and you know, that's like relationships. Sometimes there's always bits and pieces that aren't great. And Amy doesn't like the fact that he's mentioned the mildew and the mould. It's like, come on, Amy, come on. He was trying to make a point. He was trying to use the illustration. I know you're not happy about it, but is it really worth this? Really?
The mould in the corner of my room.
Oh, I have that as well in my house.
I didn't point it out. I am annoyed at Luke right now. I just think it's really disrespectful to be commenting on, like, the paint, the smudge paint on my walls. Like, it's not even mould.
Okay.
Well, this is awkward. Like, we're in my mum's house. Like, have some respect.
Jesus Christ, just mention one small thing. It's normal in houses, babe. It's normal. It's not.
I just didn't come into your house and comment on all the mould in your house and all the bad things.
And
in
that's
your
exactly my point. I'm saying, like, oh,
Cool.
I didn't mean to upset you.
Cool.
I think Amy at the moment is on a heightened state of alert, so anything I say is kind of attacked, or I can't say everything that I want to say because she's got something to say about everything. I think Amy has to understand that I can't be on a leash constantly with what I say, you know what I mean? Otherwise it's not going to go anywhere.
Wow, that was spicy. Just before I go any further, guys, I just want to tell you that Kieran and Christina are in this episode, but it's more of the same, which is why I'm not really talking about it. I should just say there was a moment where Kieran told his stepfather and his best men, not best men, it's just the men who were at his wedding, the choice men, that when Christina had her first bout of PMDD, he realised it was going to be a lot to handle, and he wasn't sure if he could handle it. So at least he said that, although I do wish he told her that many weeks ago. You know, the marriage vows are in sickness and in health, and at some point all of us will have to look after our prospective partners in some shape, fashion or form. Is he prepared to do that from day dot? Maybe not, which I completely understand, although, as we've said, wish you could have done it earlier. Now back to the Amy and Luke situation, which is gradually getting worse. So they go shopping. I think they're in M&S buying clothes. She loves to buy clothes. And, you know, the whole mould thing comes up again, and they argue away from the cameras and try and kind of make it look like they're not arguing, but they are. Amy's clearly very angry about this.
It was a discussion we were having.
Right, okay. Just think it's a dick move.
I told you it was Mum in front of you only. Why did you mention Mum won't appreciate it? When does Mum come in?
Well, she's going to see it. She's going to see it. That's what I mean. Why are you acting like a different person in front of everybody else? And then you change it.
This is really nice. I like it.
Cool.
Then later on, they're meeting up with Amy's friends, and Amy's going on about how important it is what her friends say about Luke, especially her friend Alex. Why do people put so much faith in their friends and their friends' opinions? I hope you realise your friends' opinions can be very wrong. You should know what you want to do. Don't rely on your friends to tell you what to do, because they can help you make a terrible decision that you later regret. I'm not saying that's what they're doing here, but I don't understand why people rely so much on what their friends think. Anyway, back to it. They sit down. He offers to buy them drinks. And immediately Amy goes on about the mould story again. They haven't even, Alex anyway, Amy's close friend, hasn't even met the guy, and we're talking about the mould story.
And he was like, oh, if I looked at your house and looked at all the amazing things, I could comment and say, like, look at that mouldy wall. And I was like, for one, my bedroom isn't mouldy. It's been so fucking hard. Honestly, I'm so confused. Because I really fancy him. Just ask him loads of questions.
I know, but I feel like I can't keep a straight face now.
You don't have to.
Just be yourself.
There you go.
Right, I think I better do this quickly. Thank you.
Cheers.
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 Oh, but be careful with.
And then things get progressively worse. They start to quiz Alex about what he does in his spare time. And he talks about woodwork, guitar, poem writing. And then Amy kind of goads him into talking about his butler in the buff stuff, which he says he's only done twice. And Alex asks him, so is that what you're going to do then? Adult entertainment as a married man, how does your wife feel about that? She makes it sound like he's going into the porn industry, which he clearly isn't. And I don't think he'd ever do butler in the buff again. I don't think it's something he's interested in pursuing. But there does seem to be a lot of intense pressure on him. You know, and Amy goes on about how he's lied. And I'm like, you do realise, like, this is like the first time Alex has met you with your husband. The other girls were at your wedding. They haven't seen you since then. And already you're accusing this man of being a liar. You're saying things in public that I don't think anyone should say about their partner except behind closed doors, you know. And it just gets Alex increasingly more angry. And eventually he just gets up and throws his ring on the table and says, this is a character assassination and I'm now single. And she tells him to F off. Amy tells him to F off. Can you blame him? I appreciate Amy had her concerns. She had her irritants about him, i.e., you know, the comments and the, you know, all the weird stuff that he does. But at the same time, did he deserve that dressing down in public? Did he deserve to be belittled like that? I am not surprised he's angry, because I would be too if I was treated like that in public. And I don't really see what Luke was supposed to do. Was he supposed to just sit there and take it and not react at all? Honestly.
Is there a specific question you want to...
What do you do in your whole spare time?
Well, sometimes during the weekends, I do like entertainment jobs.
Entertainment?
Yeah.
What do you mean entertainment jobs?
It's like costume stuff. It's similar. Just
With your bum cheeks out?
No, well,
What kind of...
well, I've done like 2 jobs in this year, which I've had like an apron on and stuff like that.
Oh,
It's
like
like
living
butter in
the
the box.
Yeah, but I've had like 2 jobs. I don't usually do those kind of jobs, but I had 2 jobs in a year where I did that, yeah.
And adult entertainment, is that something you see yourself doing moving forward? Even now you've got a wife?
It's interesting, yeah, what you've come up with.
How does that make you feel?
Luke told me at the start that he just did like nightclub jobs in jeans with his top off. And then it came out and then it just was like, ugh.
Why did you feel like you needed to lie?
I don't know, I think sometimes I just do that, like when I want to soften the blow.
Sometimes you just lie?
Yeah.
I feel like that's not a good foundation for a relationship.
Not
right?
at all, no, not at all. But it's not about how you start, I think. It's about how we develop, because we all have flaws, isn't it? And even liars deserve to be, you know, in love as well at the end of the day.
Yeah,
otherwise,
of course,
they'll be
as
single
long as you
people.
learn from your mistakes.
100%, and that's what we're doing. I mean, since the...
Slowly.
Yeah. I'm mad right now. Like, she wants me to start this meeting off with me saying that I'm a butler in the buff, and as if that's all I do. I don't think there's a way to introduce anyone, let alone your husband. My wife's just egging everything on. I've just come here and I felt like the first introduction was a negative light. There was an agenda, something needed to come out. It was like you wanted me to say that, and it was like... That's
Say what? I wanted you to say what?
About being a butler in the buff. Is that how you introduce someone?
No, Alex was asking you questions.
Yeah, but that's like our conversation.
Oh, right.
That is our conversation.
Okay. Right, okay.
So Luke, what are your intentions with Amy?
I feel violated, I feel disrespected, I feel let down. This is definitely an attempt to assassinate my character. Well, as of now, I'm a single man.
What? What?
That's...
Not a married man?
No. I'm a single man. I felt there was an agenda here to portray me a certain way.
Portray you?
Which...
You portray yourself in your own way. Like a dick. Alex was asking you about your job.
Yeah, and there was something he wanted to go on.
Well,
do you know what I mean?
He wasn't telling her what you do in your spare time.
Yeah, I don't have 4 things I do in my spare time.
Yeah, and I said, what about the other thing?
Yeah, well, that you do
Why
want
is
to say.
that an
Is that
agenda?
even spare time? Doesn't matter now. The ring's off and it's not coming back on.
Well, fuck off then.
So the final closing moments of the evening Luke and Amy spend together with her friends are no better than how it started. It's a small attempt, you know, to kind of reconcile, but nothing works. Basically, Alex takes Amy outside to get some fresh air and talk to her, while Luke is left there with the other 2 friends who just also leave, and then Luke eventually leaves. And they're being rather unfair to Luke, saying that, why would you talk to your wife like that in public? Why would you do this or that? But what they're forgetting is that Luke has been with Amy all day. He's been with her for the last few days and has had this all the time for the last few days. Whatever Amy's going through, whatever reason Amy feels she needs to constantly peck at him, he's had it. They haven't. So he's just now reached boiling point. He doesn't scream or yell or anything like that. But, I just think, overall, that was unfair treatment and it was embarrassing. You shouldn't do that to your husband. Similarly, a husband shouldn't do that to his wife. We all have disagreements, and we all have things we don't like about our partners, but you don't bring it up in front of your friends in public on a night out, do you? I think that's a really bad thing to do, unless you've said to your wife or husband beforehand, I would like to talk to my friends about that disagreement we had regarding blah, blah, blah. And they say, okay, if you want to, it doesn't bother me, that's fine. I just think this was handled terribly. I don't blame Luke for the way he behaved. I do understand Amy's irritated by him, but you don't need to say all that. You don't need to be so mean and so nasty to him. I think deep down, Luke does have good intentions. He may have a terrible way of showing it, but I think he does have good intentions, and I think he just deserves better treatment.
Is that one thing I did once a year?
Yeah, because you lied. You are a liar, a compulsive liar. Honestly, I'm seething. I've never been this angry in my life. I need him away from me. Go away.
Shall we go to the bar and just take 5?
Oh dear. Can we not have just had a conversation?
Well, that's what I thought, but clearly not. She wanted to do it in front of an audience.
You took the bloody ring off. You could have just said to her in private, I'm not happy with how you did that.
Right, listen, I'm done with this now.
Enjoy your drinks, okay.
Go on.
I am fuming.
How are you supposed to trust him when that's how he acts?
Yeah. Luke needs to do a lot to make it up to me. This is an absolute shit show. Behaving like this in front of my friends is an absolute no from me. So I don't feel like he realises how much he's fucked up right now.
Where do you go from here?
I do not know where this leaves us.
If he's willing to give up after one little thing, that's a red flag for me.
Yeah.
And we ended with Sasha and Ross at Sasha's family house with their family, the aunts, the grannies, and Sasha and Ross admitting they're in love. And them both saying that they don't want her to move and they wanted to stay here. But also we had Sasha once again bring up Ross's temper, and I thought, have I missed something? I saw Ross's temper when she egged him on to have words with Alex, but I didn't know there'd been lots of other incidences since then. And she's making him sound like a really scary guy, in which case, why would she want to stay in a relationship with him in the first place?
I'm in love with you.
That love? Yeah.
Oh, you didn't practice that?
2 weeks.
Oh, I'm shocked there. We get fucking emotional there. Oh, stop it.
Yeah.
Don't lie to me if you do it now. I mean a lot.
Yeah.
You don't do it.
Are you in love, Sash?
Yes.
Can you tell?
You look absolutely blooming. You are. You've got the it's lovely.
I've never seen you like this.
Really happy.
Must be doing a good job then.
Yeah.
Seems like it.
What you gonna do future when you come out and?
What the moving situation?
Ross wants to get to Manchester. His family wants to get to Manchester, and these guys want me to stay here.
Yeah, cool.
I don't want to be a part with that. That's the thing. I've been with the 25.
No. I'll just think at first. I need to be here. That's mine.
And me, I do for me.
I don't want Sasha to move to Manchester.
We know exactly what's better for her. We know Sasha more than anybody. Avoid that. If there's any kind of disagreement, she's going to be on her own. She don't know anybody, and Ray got us to come to us
Absolutely.
and talk to.
I wanted to stay with us, with the family.
Guys, I really don't want to go,
I know.
but we've got to get back to London, sadly. I've always said that I'd move to Manchester and that wouldn't be a problem for me. But with how Ross's behaviour can be in arguments sometimes, it's left me questioning whether that's the right decision.
Anyway, everyone, what did you make of tonight's episode? Do you agree with what I'm saying about Amy? Do you think Amy was in the right and she should have treated Luke like that? Is that how you treat your husband or wife? Let me know down below and we shall discuss as always. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you again tomorrow night for another episode of Married at first sight. Au revoir. I'm now going to go and lick my dog.